This video is sponsored by Aquashine Exteriors, professional jet washing and cleaning services across Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, including Dorset, Hampshire and Wiltshire. Are you feeling it's time to get that driveway nice and shiny for when you come home? Or are you wanting to get that guttering tidied up and spotless again? They deliver this, plus much, much more. Please head into the description below where you'll find their details for their website, including the socials, Facebook and Instagram. You also need to find their before and after portfolio. You can also call them on 07503 998 088 for a free quotation. Don't wait till next week. Don't think you'll do it another day. Pick up the phone, give them a call, check them out. Hello everyone and welcome to Cherries Red Army 2023. We're back on a live match preview. Back on YouTube, live. Absolutely love it. Can see your hellos in the chat already. Come on, let us know who's joining us this evening. Now, if you're a Bournemouth fan on social media, you might have had a bit of an excitable day. We'll talk about that in a moment. You're joining me and Aaron because on Saturday, Bournemouth season has to kick on if we're going to stay in the Premier League. Aaron, it's only Premier League football from here on in.
Yeah, that's it now, isn't it? Out the cups, so full steam ahead to try and operation stay in the Premier League. Yeah, exciting, and good to be back on the live again. The pressures of the live is back, so yeah, looking forward to this.
Subscribe if you're new to Cherries Red Army. Can you get us to 1,350? Come on, help us. You can do it. And hit the like button on this video. We like to try and get to about 50 likes minimum. You can go past it, but let's try and get to 50. If you're watching this back and you weren't able to catch us live, thank you very much. We're very grateful for you for watching this video. Let's look at the chat. Donald went nice and early. He actually beat my message in the chat and he thinks that I think the Cherries will win. Well, we'll get your score predictions later on. Chris Hubble, how are you? Liam, hope you're doing well. We've got Liam in there again. Aaron's shown his hellos in the chat. We've got Mark Singleton. Heather's joining us. So do let us know throughout the evening if you're in the chat, and we'll show your message on the screen. Now, Aaron, there is a match preview to talk about against Brentford. However, the transfer window seems to be hotting up for AFC Bournemouth. Now, there are 3 outgoings so far. We know that James Hill has gone to Hearts on loan, so we wish him luck. Yesterday, Jamal Lowe went into the Championship to join QPR on loan for the rest of the season, and Emi Marcondes is headed back to Denmark. 2 absolute brilliant pros, very good footballers, not had much football, probably deserve to have the second half of the season where they can get some football under their belt.
Yeah, 100%. I think those 3 were the obvious ones because they haven't really even played apart from the bench in reality for any of the Premier League football and even for some of the cup games actually. So I'm good for them. I'm pleased they're loans because obviously should we find ourselves back in the Championship next year, they're more than useful players to have around, good characters. So, you know, I like the fact that they're still our players, but they go and get some, well, Jamal Lowe will get some Championship football, certainly at QPR. Emi goes back to his home country, and James goes north of the border, which has done well for us in the past. So yeah, really, really good moves for them, and good for us, frees up some space in the squad.
Missy Bricks, thanks for joining us. Alan Burden. We've also got another newcomer in the chat. Welcome to Cherries Red Army. You'll be able to give your score prediction later on. Thank you very much. And if there's outgoings, potentially there's space for some incomings, and we'll have more transfer videos building for you from next week. Dango Utara, a winger, mostly left-footed, scored for Lorient and assisted last night against Monaco. So he's potentially a 20-year-old that is a target, and that's a strong link from good sources, Aaron. Also, a certain Arno Danjuma has come into the race for AFC Bournemouth. He was linked with other Premier League sides and potentially now a very strong link, again, with credible sources.
Yeah, it's really kind of sped up over the last, day, really. So I think, Arnie's obviously a player that we'd hope would come back one day, or we obviously have links with. He's always kind of talking nicely about us. Once a Cherry, always a Cherry, etc. So there's been rumours that Villarreal are happy to let him go, either permanently or on loan. So I think if we're talking about the Premier League, people talked about his links with Unai Emery, and obviously potentially going to Aston Villa. And then today it first broke that we actually are in the race, and as you say, good sources, Jacob Townswell, Chris Temple, and the like. When they talk, you know something's going on. So I imagine it's, still some way to get over the line, but all the reports on Twitter and everyone seems quite confident that we might be leading that race to get Arnie back, which would be an incredible feat to get him back. He was playing Champions League football last season. And as you say, Atara as well. I was scored for Lorient the other night. Bill Foley was in attendance, from what I can hear, and scored and assisted. And yeah, I mean, that's not a bad front three, is it, with Dom?
No, it isn't. One of our own, John Spark, has also done the Danjuma celebration in the chat. And I'll be catching up with John next week to talk about these transfers in more details. Mitty Bricks has also said Gavin Kilkenny potentially going to Blackburn, not getting a lot of football at Stoke, surprising. So that could be a good move for him. Right. That's all the transfer news up, because it's Bournemouth Brentford at the weekend at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Previously in the season, earlier on in the season, it was a turgid 0-0 at home. So is it going to be a better game on Saturday? Well, we hope so, but we know that there's lots to talk about, and we know this is not going to be an easy game for AFC Bournemouth. It is your preview for this weekend.
Cheeky one, square, and
Both teams in separate sides of the league. You've got Bournemouth currently in 16th and Brentford are in 9th. Now, Aaron, will talk about Brentford initially, the team that we'll be facing, a team that are in their second season of the Premier League, finished 13th last season. Then it was, how do you react to that second year syndrome? They seem to be doing okay. There's something like 6 games unbeaten. And in that run, they've beaten Liverpool and Manchester City. I think they have a very good model. They're a club very similar to us, and they're doing very well.
Really admire Brentford, really admire the way they've gone about their business. They always seem to have a good scouting network. They seem to replace players, likes of Neil Mopai, etc., who move on and they just replace them. And as you say, it's a kind of vociferous crowd there at their new stadium, and they got a real good shape about them. For all I couldn't stand Thomas Frank during that playoff semi-final. I've got a lot of respect for him. I think he's a fantastic manager. Obviously got them organised, motivated, and a real good strategy in place there. So yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very, very difficult. They, as you say, they're unbeaten in the league in I think 6 games. They disposed of Liverpool minus Ivan Toney, who's going to be back for this weekend. And they went to the Etihad and won. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be our work cut out, because for all the excitement of the signings we just spoke about, they certainly won't be available for Saturday. So we're kind of as we were.
Yeah, something we've not been able to achieve. Go to the Etihad and get a decent result. But you can have your own opinions on what you think about the manager of Brentford. But I think I look at a side that are very together. I think they have a plan. I think they have an identity. They definitely come good at home in matches when they need to come good. They've also destroyed Leeds. And yeah, I mean, Thomas Frank is showing that you can go Europe and you can work it out and you can deliver something on the pitch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As you say, identity is the key. There's a real kind of spirit about that team, which reminds us of our early years in the Premier League under Eddie. Everybody knows their role. Everybody feels it to a T. They got everything about them really, because they're good defensively. They got some some really big players at the back who put themselves on the line, but they've also got a huge amount of pace going forward. The likes of obviously Tony you've mentioned, but Mbuemo, Visa, they've got a lot of attacking talent, and they're very quick in transitions as well. And they generally play 3 centre backs, and then their wing backs get really high up the pitch. Rico Henry on that left hand side causes no end of problems. So yeah, that they're a high pressing team, kind of very kind of in your face, high intensity, and it's going to have to be something that we try and cope with on Saturday.
They put away Liverpool, as you're seeing on the screen there. Now, that's our thoughts on Brentford. We don't watch Brentford every week, obviously, because we're keeping up with the Cherries, but we are going to give you an opposition view. Now, this is Lewis, aka the Cog from the Besotted podcast. It's an insider. He's going to tell us more about Brentford this weekend.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lewis from the Besotted podcast, run by Brentford fans. And many thanks for inviting me on to talk about Brentford ahead of our game against Bournemouth this Saturday. Particular thanks to Kirk and to everybody who follows the Cherries Red Army. So a little bit about Brentford. As you'll be aware, last year was our first ever season in the Premier League. And finishing just below mid-table was a real amazing achievement for a club with a small budget. In many ways similar to the journey that Bournemouth have been on. We were really pleased with that achievement in the first year. It was helped by having Christian Eriksen for the final chunk of the season. He decided to move on in the summer, and we were busy in the transfer market, bringing in players like Keane Lewis-Potter, Aaron Hickey, Mikael Damsgaard, and we got Ben Mee on a free from Burnley. It's been, I guess, actually a few months on now. Several of those players are still around the fringes of the first team. Ben Mee has been the outstanding signing of the summer, really, and has performed really well for us. In January, we've moved quickly to bring in Kevin Sade, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who comes with quite an exciting reputation from Freiburg, who are currently second in the Bundesliga. And actually the season so far has really been very impressive. We've kicked on from last season. We've had some fairly incredible results. I'd say the 4-0 victory over Man United, beating City 2-1 up at the Etihad, and more recently the 3-1 victory over Liverpool. Were absolutely sensational results. We put 5 past Leeds United, the champions of Europe, as they like to be known. So actually we've been really pleased with our performances this season. The game on Saturday is likely to be fairly close, I think. Players that you should probably be keeping an eye on would include Rico Henry, our left back. In my view, the best left back in the country, certainly the best defensive left back in the country. We've got quite a potent strike force with Ivan Toney, who of course you'll know all about. But his partnership with Brian Mbeumo just gets better and better. And it's it's something that Bournemouth will be really need to keep a close eye on. The fulcrum of our team is Christian Norgard, defensive midfielder and Danish international. He's been arguably our best player for a couple of years now and is absolutely key to the way that we play. And then defensively, as well as Rico, Ethan Pinnock is a standout player at the centre of our defence. And he plays in front of David Raya, who again has been an absolute revelation in the last couple of seasons since we got him from Blackburn Rovers. We've got a few players out at the moment. Pontus Jansson, our skipper, is on the sidelines. Hickey is on his way back from a couple of months out. And Baptiste as well, who normally will be on our bench and adding some flair to our midfield. As far as I'm aware, he's not ready to return yet. So it promises to be a really good game. I would predict that Brentford will come away with a 2-1 victory. I hope that we get another 3 points. We're bizarrely actually threatening for a European place at the moment. So a victory would help maintain that momentum. I do very much hope that you guys stay up this season. I think you play nice football, and it's great to see teams with modest budgets overperforming as Bournemouth have done for many years now. So hope you enjoy the game. Thanks again for having me on, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you to Lewis there from the Besotted podcast. He's going for a Brentford 2, Bournemouth 1, but he was polite in his comments about the Cherries. Aaron, let's take a look at the predicted lineup then from Football Fantasy Scout. This is what we're looking at the last few weeks. Now, they have predicted, Aaron, a back four for Brentford with Raya in goal, Ruslev, me, Pinnock, Henry, Jensen, Norgard, Janelt and Bomo, Tony and Visa. I don't think it's going to be a back four. When you look at Brentford's teams of late playing in the Premier League, it normally sets up with a back three. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be a back three with the likes of Henry, especially on the left-hand side as a wing-back bombing down. Ben Mee, the opposition guest said what a signing he's been. It was someone that we mooted, actually. Yeah. It'd be a really good signing for us, when we're talking about transfers before the season. And he's obviously done a brilliant job and shows how good he would have been and how good he's been for them. Pinnock as well is a mainstay at the back. It's been great for them. Norgard dictates the play. And as I already said, Tony's back from his injury or suspension, I think he had as well. So he hasn't been laid off yet for his betting scandal. So unfortunately, we get to face him. And Buemo, showing the World Cup as well, what a good player he can be. And absolutely, him and Visa literally destroyed Liverpool and gave them nightmares. So even without Tony, they can cause a huge amount of problems. But yeah, I expect them to play that kind of 5-2-3 or whatever it is.
Brentford, they're going to be a very good team on Saturday. Tony is scoring many goals in the Premier League, but it's time to look at the Cherries because at some point, Aaron, you'd say the form has to change and we might need a bit of luck this weekend. But the Cherries are off the back of the Premier League last result against Manchester United. It was 3-0. It was before that Burnley FA Cup game. And look, it's not the result that we are surprised with. I actually predicted a 3-0 loss. I think it's more that we're just looking to take any positives we can from the games. We looked okay again once we went behind and we then were unable to give us the ball and have a bit of an attack behind us. Lloyd Kelly getting his 100th appearance for the club. The goals again, though, were really poor. I thought the first one was too easy. Casemiro just walked through our defence. Lerma, I felt, should have pulled back Luke Shaw and took a technical foul on the halfway line. And then the third one's a 50-yard ball over the top of our defence. And that's probably the criticism I have in that fixture.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows my thoughts about the last few games and the performances. Ironically, I thought Manchester United probably the best of a bad bunch, really. I think our performance up there and some of the chances we created were probably better than the Crystal Palace, Burnley home games, for example, which were so dire. But as you say, we didn't take our chances and we gave away sloppy goals and such easy goals, And I don't think Manchester United really even got out of third gear, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think they really pushed up if they pushed through what they really needed to do. And it was quite comfortable for them in the end. And yeah, so not really surprising, but again, disappointed with the performance up there. But this one's no easier. So we really need to try and find some inner confidence from somewhere.
Yeah, 2 wins in 12 games, no points on the board since Gary O'Neill's got the head coach role. It's probably not helped him that when he got this job, he knew he wanted to pick up points early. I said it from the start. It was imperative that we got something on the board just to relax him because it is a different job to the interim one that we discussed in a previous video. Not having Marcus Tavernier is a massive loss for Gary O'Neill and a massive loss for us because if we are going to play that counter-attacking game, you need someone who can drag you up the pitch and put you in positive areas to try and create a chance because that type of tactic, that type of style is going to create limited chances and you've got to be really clinical. And that's where potentially we're going to need the likes of Danjuma in this transfer window.
Yeah, I think if you look back to Gary O'Neill's interim, the first part of his interim mainstay when we actually picked up some points, I think 2 players who were fundamental for that and critical to that were Neto and Tavernier. And obviously both have been injured. So they are big blows. I mean, Neto, I think, surprised everybody with how much, how how good he was and how experienced he was, and calm the defense down. And statistics have proven how valuable he was to us. And as you say, Tavernier, an inspired signing in the summer, again fulfilled more than my expectations and became such a fundamental player to the way we played, and also just his individual skill and his ability. And actually, before his injury, he was just beginning to show it in stats with his goals and assists. So a massive blow. But obviously both unavailable for this weekend. So yeah, we've talked obviously about incomings. I'd like to think maybe that there might be a bit of excitement around the camp, and also some players really are playing, if they weren't before, really are playing for their places now under threat from, and certainly in the forward areas, I would think. So it's really time to try and deliver and put on a performance. And as we said in my last video, hopefully, with this controversy surrounding the booing of Lloyd Kelly in the last game, hopefully a bit of galvanization of the squad, a bit of coming together, and a bit of a kind of, a kind of never say die attitude and backs against the wall can really surprise us. And one thing I didn't mention before about Brentford is obviously they've got an incredible record against the big teams this season. As you said, Manchester United beat Man City away, beat Liverpool at home. They've obviously had good results against the kind of so-called lower teams like us, but I think some of those games have been closer. So they certainly raised their game, and maybe they could play better against teams who come at them, and can pick them off. So maybe that's kind of the way to go. That I'm sure they won't be complacent. Thomas Frank won't have them complacent, but maybe that's something we can try and tap into.
Now, the G-Tech Community Stadium is a fresh stadium. I'm looking forward to going there on Saturday. It's a stadium, as you've said, that they do well in. And it's a stadium that the last time we went there wasn't a great day out for us. Also some images of the G-Tech Stadium. And if I'm right in thinking, Aaron, it might be the same referee in that playoff semi-final. It was 3-1. Obviously not a great day for Chris Mepham, but I've always praised Chris Mepham for returning back to form and being strong to continue and improve, because that shows something in a player when they can take the bad and turn it into a good. Danjuma, again, we're talking about him a lot tonight, scored on that day, pretty much run the length of the pitch to give us the lead. Yeah, it's a lovely stadium. We want to win there. It'd be nice to win there and get an early result away at Brentford.
It'd be nice to pick up a point. We haven't had a point now in many games. Apart from those Everton games, you've had 9 defeats out of 11. So, obviously desperate to get something here ahead of a huge game against Forest the week after. But, it's very tricky. But Brentford are, look, at the end of the day, anything can happen. And I still believe in the players. I still believe that they are good enough. And they have the ability, if they all turn up, cut out silly mistakes. In so many of the games recently, certainly on Saturday against Burnley, 3 of the goals were just silly errors, and you're going to pay the price for that. So defend resolutely, stay in the game. I think that's important for us. Look, I don't want us to sit back and just soak it all up. But in all the recent games, Chelsea, Manchester United, Burnley, the game was over, before the half-hour mark, really. So I think it's important to stay in the game and then be a bit more adventurous, maybe a bit later on.
Christmas has come and gone. We've got to stop gifting goals. We've got to be harder to beat, and then we've got to be ruthless in front of goal. Now, we have been collaborating with Pitch Football app. You can check them out on most app stores on your phone or in your iPads. And we've been collaborating, and they've asked us what we think the predicted lineup will be on Saturday. Now, Aaron, we're in a 50-50 between whether it'll be a back 3 and match Brentford up, or whether it'll be a back 4. And then we were unsure whether Lloyd Kelly would play centre-back or left-back. But we do think he'll play. I'm going to show it on the screen. This is what we've gone for. You might see it on Twitter and Instagram in the next day or two if you follow those channels and those platforms. And we've gone for Mark Travers, Jack Stacey right-back, Adam Smith suspended, Chris Mepham to come back in, Senesi, Kelly left-back, Lerma, Cook, Billing back in the centre, Christie potentially, Anthony, Solanke. It's not easy to pick lineups under Gary O'Neill because he does flip and flop at the moment, learning on the job. But that's sort of what we've gone with based on our better performances that we did have against Manchester United, even though we did lose comfortably, as we spoke about.
Yeah, I think we're going to go with this lineup. As you say, Stacey kind of has to play because Adam Smith suspended and Ryan Fredericks is still injured. I want to see Meps back in this team. I think, although results weren't great before the break, Meps and Senesi developed an understanding and a bit of a partnership together. And I think at the moment they're our best centre back pairing. And we put Lloyd Kelly at left back because I think in the last few games his best performance, whether he likes it or not, probably was at Old Trafford where he was left back. And Jay-Z, much as I love him, hasn't been on top form recently. So I think Kelly will stay in the team. So I think that's probably the obvious position to play him. And the rest of the team picks itself. It's kind of that championship front six, which is kind of, he's kind of defaulted to against Manchester United. And I said it was probably the better of the recent poor performances. And obviously we haven't had any incomings yet. And certainly none in time for this game. We've let some players go. So some of the substitutes, bench players have gone. So we're kind of a bit limited anyway, really, with what we can do at the moment. So I would go for that. As you say, the other option is potentially is to match Brentford up because they play that back five. And then obviously it's very easy in that situation. Then you got a back three of Meps, Senesi and Kelly, which is natural. And Stacey as right wing back, which actually probably is a better wing back than he is a right back anyway. So it might suit Stacey more. And then you probably brings Jay-Z back in the team at left wing back. And then you sacrifice one of those front three because you'd keep Lerma and Cook and Billing in it. And you'd probably sacrifice Christie, for example, or Anthony, and play one of those behind Dom. So either of those could go. I think as Bournemouth fans, we'd like to see a back four. So hopefully that's what we'll go with and pack out that midfield. I think that's where we've lost some games. I'd like to see Ben Pearson in this team because I think we've underperformed recently. And what does he have to do to get a game? He's when he has played this season, which hasn't been for some time, he's been really effective, and we know what he can bring. And he certainly he 100% effort, if nothing else. So, but from the looks of it, Gary doesn't really fancy him at the moment. So I think that would be the team.
But there is a conundrum around Lloyd Kelly, and there is the option to swap Kelly out, put some more in. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw this, but as we were speaking about it, Aaron, because we did talk about potentially doing this, he is the club captain, and although he's receiving this bit of criticism in the stands of late, I think he plays because he is the club captain, and I think Gary O'Neill just hope a performance potentially at left back or centre back can just help his confidence.
Yeah, look, I think he's not one to shy away. Lots been made of the reaction to Lloyd on Saturday, and as we've said, completely unjustly. And he went straight down the tunnel, and obviously players have tweeted their support since. So you could take him out the firing line, but I think the best thing is just get straight back on the bike and get him out there again. And as I said, I wouldn't want him at centre back at the moment, but left back for me, I think he does a good job there. And as I said, not as good going forward as Jay-Z, but better defensively.
The club are showing the media of this week and the lads in training, and it's also great to see David Brooks progressing, and they've done a little short video on David Brooks as well, and maybe he's getting closer to match action. I mean, it'd be great to see David Brooks in a Bournemouth shirt again on the grass and showing his skills there, and you never know, we might see it. Obviously, it's got to be the right moment, the right time. The club have also got to try and stay in the league, which is the priority, but it's great to see David Brooks continue to progress, and we can't wait to see him with the football at his feet again.
Yeah, it's the $1 million question, isn't it? Because obviously, thankfully he's now cancer free, and then he was back in training, did his hamstring, which is natural. You're gonna, your muscles are gonna take some time to adapt again. And really, there's nothing in his way now. It's just about getting match fitness. And, for all intents and purposes, he's been training for quite a long time now and building his fitness up. So we're all wondering when's it going to happen. So hopefully sooner rather than later. As I said, there's nothing really stopping it now. And we know how good he can be. And, you don't use your football ability just because you're ill. So, hopefully it won't take him long to get that back and get minutes into him. And, what a player he can be. We forget how good he actually was because, before his illness, before he was diagnosed, he wasn't performing that great. And we now know why, really. So, a fully fit and healthy David Brooks is one of the best players in the division.
Check out that video on the official club website because it does show David Brooks sticking one in the top corner like it was Crystal Palace all over again. So do check it out. It's this part of the preview, though. Thanks for joining us. Do hit that like button. Help us get to 50. Do subscribe. But we're going to want your activity in the chat because we're getting closer to those pre-match predictions. Get them in the chat now. Get them in nice and early. What's your score prediction for Brentford Bournemouth this Saturday? 5:30 kickoff. Other games going on in the Premier League this weekend. You've got Aston Villa versus Leeds, the Manchester Derby, Man United versus Manchester City. Wolves take on West Ham, Nottingham Forest against Leicester, Brighton, Liverpool, Everton, Southampton, Brentford, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Fulham, Tottenham, Arsenal. I think that's everything. There might be one more, but I think I've got everything there. What I did notice from the fixture list this weekend, though, Aaron, is below us, they're all playing each other. What a weekend to win and for them lot to trip each other up.
Well, draws all round would be nice, but it's one of those situations where you don't want either team to win. You've got the Everton Southampton game, Forest Leicester, and Wolves West Ham, and even Villa Leeds to some degree. So, some of those teams you don't want them to win, but then I guess whoever wins, it's great, but the other team have lost. But what that does mean is that if we don't get a result of Brentford, it's very likely we'll be in the relegation zone, because obviously some of those teams below us, one of them's going to get at least 1 point, if not all three. So, yeah, it's one of those difficult situations where you just don't want any of those teams to win, but they're all playing each other, and whatever will be. But and obviously the North London derby sticks out as well. What a game! If Arsenal can go there and turn Spurs over, I think their fans are really going to start to believe that they can win the title. And Spurs always raise their game, but I'd love to see Arsenal go and win.
This is your 1 minute warning then. Pop open that interactive chat, put your score prediction in for Brentford versus Bournemouth, and we'll put it on the screen in about 1 minute time. It's a good opportunity though to tell you how you can support the channel, and if you do already, thank you very much, but you can head over, details in the description below, to buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. You can become a monthly member, supporting the channel, helping us pay for our admin fees and our StreamYard, where we're currently using this right now. You can go there, you can donate, or you can become a member. Buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. So please check that out. We'll very much appreciate it. We'll have lots of content coming to you this weekend. We'll be at the game. A match day vlog will drop hopefully on Sunday if I get enough sleep, and we'll try and get a match reaction to you as quickly as possible. But it is your time to put your score prediction in the chat. Put it in there. I'll show it on the screen in a minute. And I'm thinking about score predictions. Now, Aaron, the last time I did this in the Premier League was the Man United game. And I went for a 3-0 loss, and it was a 3-0 loss. And it would be, wouldn't it? It would actually come in when I predict us to lose. I'm going to be optimistic. I know that I've done an opposition view for Besotted podcast. So go and check them out this weekend. And I think I went for 1-1. Now, Brentford generally score 2 or more goals in their form in the last quarter at the moment that they're currently in form, and they score a lot of goals. Do I think we can score 2 goals? Probably not. I'd love to think we can, and we have done before. We went to Fulham, we were both there, Aaron, and we got a 2-2. If we can score 1 and we can defend really well, we might get out of there with 1-1. I think we need a bit of lady luck. I think we need something to go our way. They're a good side at home. They're a good side this season with a good manager, but I'm optimistic. I'm going back to being optimistic. Maybe good results are to come once the transfer window kicks on even more. I'm going for 1-1. What are you going for, Aaron?
Oh, for all the videos we put out before this, it's all been quite, down in the dumps, and we know what a difficult game this is going to be. My head says it's going to be a 3-1 defeat. I think Brentford will be too strong for us, but my heart is going to be a bit more optimistic, and I'm actually going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think Brentford will score a couple of goals, but I'd like to think we can cause them problems like we did at Manchester United. If we can get in those positions and take our chances, we have to be clinical. I think we will get chances, but can we take them? So I'm going to be optimistic and go for a 2-2 draw, and if we can get anything from Brentford, hopefully to stop the rot.
Draws all round for me and Aaron, then 2-2 for you, 1-1 for me. Definitely take a point, and then let's go and absolutely smash Forest. That'll be the plan. That'll be nice. 4 points from 6, but we'll focus on this game. Thanks for joining us in the chat for this match preview. Very much appreciative. And it is a 1-1 early, and there's another draw. Liam's gone for 1-1. And also another 1-1. Confident Paul has gone for a 3-1. My heart says narrow 2-1 win. My head says 0-0. Either way you look at it, that's a point or 3 points for the Cherries. Any more score predictions coming through in the next 30 seconds, I show them on the screen. But from those score predictions that we have in the chat, Aaron, it's optimistic. And as I said, I want to think that football does its thing this weekend. We'll be underdogs, likely that everyone will back Brentford to win. But there's a reason why we get our accumulators wrong most weekends, is because football does its thing and it causes an upset. We might need something to go our way. We might maybe need Brentford player to get sent off. We might need a bit of VAR. I think we'll need something, but I want us to think that we can go and get something. And yeah, that's where I am, Aaron.
You never know. Look, you never know. Everything we've discussed both today and in the last couple of weeks has pointed to a Brentford victory, which is probably exactly why we're going to go and win. That's why I said Griffin Park. I wish it was, because I love that ground. But yeah, everything points to it. And this is why we go week in, week out. We sit, we moan, and then we end by saying, all right, see you Saturday, because we're off again. And what I would love nothing more, that we're 1-0 up in the last few minutes, holding the ball in the corner, and Thomas Frank's going like this, and we hold on for a victory, because that would be wonderful.
Aaron, it's been great to have you on this match preview. See you Saturday.
Yes, look forward to seeing you. Catch up before I believe we're sitting near each other. So yeah, excuse my expletives again.
Can you,
yeah,
let me know where the bar is before the game, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you to everyone who's joined us on this match preview. Heather's just dropped in. I think we'll get a point. And Ray is just, I think it might be Paul from Australia, has just said a penalty would be nice. And Gene's come in. I hope it's a draw, but I just want to see something positive come out of this game. Ditto, I will echo that. Thank you to everyone who's joined us on this match preview. Do hit the like button. Help us get to 50 likes. Content to come your way. More match previews. And we'll try and get some transfer videos out to you next week. But on this match preview, on this video, look after yourself next couple of days. Get behind the Cherries on Saturday. You never know. We might get a result and get our point back on the board. We'll see you on the next one. Up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.